All right. Welcome back to Bring the Juice. I'm your host, Frank Dalena. Today on the pod, we have Stephen Spach, Fresno guy, Dogs guy, NFL guy, now giving back to the community in all different types of ways, but he's also a pro in what he does. Spach, a lot to talk about today, a lot of juice. I'm fired up.
First we gonna rock, then we gonna fold, then we let it pop, don't let it go.
Good to have you on the pod. Say what's up to Bring the Juice Nation real quick.
What's up, Bring the Juice Nation? Frank, thanks for having me on, buddy.
Long overdue. Love to see it. Anyways, undrafted, went from the Eagles, the Vikings, the Patriots, the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Jags. That was your journey according to Wikipedia, so I'm going to trust it. All right.
Yeah. Can't trust everything you see.
Google's not always the correct resource, but talk to me just about like going undrafted, getting into camp, and then making a 53 in the midst of all that.
Oh man, rookie year?
Yes.
Rookie
year.
All right. So
young Spach.
All right. Let's go way back then. Let's jump even further back. So
Okay.
From when I think I was in 6th grade.
Yeah.
We had 6th grade journal, so I wrote, I still have it. I wrote that I wanted to play in the NFL. So I still have that.
Is that framed in the house?
No, it's there though.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. It's in the drawer.
Bring it back when I need it. Bring it out when I need it. Yeah. So no, I've always wanted to play in the NFL, but I was never like the guy,
Sure.
right? On any team, that I had growing up. So, senior year, I played O and D line all growing up. And then senior year of high school, I finally got to play like a skill position, right? So that was the first time I ever played tight end. And so I just wanted to play college football, and I wanted to play D1,
I understand that.
Yeah, exactly. So I got the opportunity to walk on at Fresno State. So it was always like, it was walk on, had to earn everything. You know the story.
Yep.
You know the story very well. So, I mean, I came in, we'll skip ahead to, you want to talk about rookie year. So
You can tell your story. Tell your story.
All right. Well, I ended up earning the scholarship
Yeah.
at Fresno State. But it was always, I guess, coming in every year. Until my senior year in college, I was never the first on the depth chart. I was always 2nd, 3rd, 4th on the depth chart.
Got to reprove yourself every time.
Exactly. Every single year, every single training camp. So that was when I got a chance in the NFL, and I didn't get drafted, right? So when I got a chance as undrafted free agent, it was much of the same. It was the same story that
back to the walk on
for the last 5 years. Exactly. It's just a little bit more intense, because if you don't make it, it's not like you redshirt. Like,
no,
you're gone.
You're just fired from the job.
Right, exactly. So so coming in, I just had that same mentality. And I, put my blinders on, and they said jump. Said how high. That was with the Eagles. So
they just kept saying how jump, and you were like,
they kept telling me to jump and jump and jump. There was a lot of jumping.
You jumped high enough, but I mean, people. I think the more involved, if you know the business of the NFL. If you're drafted, you're not necessarily guaranteed a roster spot out of the gate,
right?
Let alone to be undrafted to make the 53. It's a big. Don't act like it's not a big deal. It's a big deal. That's goddamn accomplishment.
It was a big deal to me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Respect. Shitting me?
No, thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Humble brag. Come on.
Hey.
Get this guy going, huh?
No, but. Well, I'll tell you what.
So how'd you do it day in and day out, though? You're undrafted. You got that walk-on mindset. You earned that skull. You did your thing in college. You got enough stripes, obviously, to get the opportunity to make it to the Eagles. Mm-hmm. And I think, even talking about this podcast game now, where I'm trying to separate myself from the pack. And when there's so many people with the same goal, and even in college, everybody's good.
Right.
I don't care if you're on the roster, whether you're first string or 7th string, you're good enough to be there. You might not be assignment perfect and you can't get it mentally. You might not be the physical specimen to get the job done constantly, but like if you make it to that level, you're good enough to find a way to figure it out. Obviously, if you get the opportunity in the NFL, you're on the roster. You're not on the roster yet, but you're invited to some sort of a camp that gives you the opportunity to be on the roster. as there's guys who are vets. Maybe they got traded from team to team. Maybe they were free agents. They got picked up, but have been in the league a few years. As you try to chisel out your spot and your role on that team, what did you do to separate yourself from the pack to make that 53? Mm-hmm. The first 53.
Yeah, that's a good question. Because the talent level just goes up and up, and the spread is so much smaller. So the difference between the guy who's just making the team and the guy who is absolutely elite is so small compared to everywhere else that everything's under a microscope, you know. For me specifically, like I said, I was never the best athlete at my position or on my team, ever on any team that I played on. I was slightly below average speed. I was average height, average size, average strength. So I had to make up for those things with never making mistakes. And with, you know, aggression and effort. And then focus on, I guess my strengths were like hands and, you know, I guess you would say intelligence or maybe stubbornness. So, you know, studied a lot, you know, that kind of stuff. And so never making a mistake was usually my way of crawling up the depth chart if I had to go there.
It sounds like, and we say on this pod all the time, like control the controllable. It sounds like you literally had the bull by the horns on the controllable of saying like, listen, like, it's not that I have to be so great to make the team necessarily. I'm going to do everything in my power so perfect to where they can't not put me on the team almost type situation.
That was kind of my angle. Yeah.
That I understand completely. It's very difficult. And again, it's why you say as an adult now, it's like, you got to find a way, figure it out. In sports, you do things you didn't even think you could possibly do. You do it once, you're like, how did I do that? You figure it out again. You come back to reality a little bit. You do it again. You realize, okay, I got something going here a little bit. And before you know it, there's things that you didn't think were possible that you're doing on a regular basis at this point. And to be able to process that and do it at the highest level, which is the National Football League, very impressive. And transitioning before we get into, you know, your next series of the NFL, got a quick shout out to our friends at American Pistachio Growers. Got their shirt on today, APG. If you want to perform like the pros, eat your pistachios, eat those nuts, kids. Spach, my next thing I was going to get into was Super Bowls. But do you think eating pistachios helped you in your athletic career at all? Maybe helped you get to Super Bowl at some point, potentially?
I owe everything to pistachios.
Eat those nuts, kids. Pistachios, American Pistachio Growers, great source of protein, antioxidants, everything in between. You know, you got chips in your lunch. You want to grow big and strong, put some pistachios in there. You want to play Division I football, go eat some gosh dang pistachios, okay? Shout out to APG. But seriously, Spach, kudos to you on, you know, overcoming that adversity, on making that 53-man roster as an undrafted free agent, finding a way, controlling the controllable. Talk to me about 2006 though. You're now, you overcome some adversity, more's coming your way. Yep. You're cut.
I love this topic.
You're not on a roster.
Right.
How hard is it to watch that season just kind of happen while you're not deep in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mentally.
Yeah. I love this. So all my life I was like the humble, hard work, you know, quiet but serious, like hard worker that had to like I said, make up for lack of like elite athleticism with hard work and effort.
Yep.
Somehow in 2005, early 2006, somehow something creeped in that I thought I was different than that.
Yeah.
I forgot where I came from, if that makes any sense. So I think that for a moment there, I didn't come in as ready in 2006 as I did in 2005.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yep. Not as hungry, maybe.
And it showed on the field.
Okay.
Yeah. And it showed on the field. And so, and And it was just little tiny, you know, the tiniest bit, and that's all I had to lose. You know what I mean? I got let go. Yeah. And I thought, honestly, in my head, I thought I'll be picked up in no time.
Right.
That was really what I thought. I thought I'll be picked up in no time. And the reality of that is just it's not always that.
No.
And so I had a workout within, you know, a few days or whatever. I had a workout scheduled. Went to the Seahawks, worked out. I thought, oh, they got me. When I showed up, I thought I was going in for like to get signed. Right. But when I showed up, there was 6 other tight ends there. Oh. So they worked us all out, including their practice squad guy. Wow. So like they worked us all out, and they didn't sign anybody. They kept their dude that they had on the practice squad. Didn't sign anybody. So I was like, okay, you know, go home. Nothing. Went on 6 more workouts that year. Wow. Never got picked up. And nobody got picked up on any of the workouts that I went on. And it was like, you're running 40s. It was basically like little pro days on half of these. On half of them, it was little pro days. And you're like, I mean, it took me till the 3rd one or whatever. I was like, I got to be ready to run a 40. Like, you know what that's like. Like you're training to run a 40. Like the takeoff is like 90% of it. Yeah. And it's not
running in a straight line.
Do all the time. Yeah, right. It's not something you do all the time, but 40-yard dash. So, I mean, it was a different mindset suddenly that I had to settle into. Of like, I got to be in like workout shape.
What was your 40?
It's different. My 40 is, we don't need to talk about that, dude.
Were you in the 4s?
You know how many people are laughing if they're watching this right now? Were you in the 4s? I was in the 4s.
Okay, that's all you got to say. All right, keep going. Keep going.
All right. I was just in the 4s. Luckily, I didn't have to run one after I blew my knee. So, but yeah. So yeah, I went through that entire season, didn't get picked up. Yeah. Got a couple calls at the end of the year to get like a futures contract for the next season. And so I took one of those, which seemed like my best opportunity. The coach actually told me I was going to make the team. He had been a coach with the Eagles with me. And then went in there. So that was kind of that year there. Right. Didn't end up making the team. No, though, the next year, I was told I'd make the team, and then they signed 2 guaranteed contracts at tight end like a month later, and it was Is there any sense though that, and I know we got a lot more of your career to get into after this, but like, is there a sense of, was there a day in there where you said, I maybe I got to go find another job? Yeah. So then that following year, played with the Vikings through training camp, got let go, final cuts, back to the drawing board, right? Back home, doing some personal training to make some cash on the side, and still training to, you know, still with the dream of coming back, going to workouts, not getting signed, going to workouts, not getting signed. Had 4 or 5 of those, including one on Thanksgiving that I flew out to Washington. It was probably the best workout I ever had. I was in great shape. It was probably the best workout I ever had. There was only one other guy there, and he was an older guy. I thought he was old as hell. He was probably 30 years old. And in the NFL, that's old as hell. I thought he was a geezer, dude. And but I mean, I had a really good workout. And they took him instead because they knew him and he had a good relationship with the coaches or whatever. Coming home from that, the day after Thanksgiving or on Thanksgiving, you know, the night of Thanksgiving. Yeah. After that, and being out my 2nd year in a row, that was where I was like, where is this going? You know, I've been on 11 workouts or whatever. Now I've been through 2 camps in a row and didn't make the team. But I knew I could play. Sure. Because I had played that entire first year. So I knew I could do it. I had that in the back of my mind, you know? So I was like, look, if I get another shot, you know, at another futures contract, I'll give it one more go, you know? Yeah. So that kept me going, 5 a.m. workouts, you know, so that I could work during the day. Because by then, I'd only had one season of minimum salary, which I'm not saying it's not good money. I'm just saying
It ain't gonna last forever.
One season of minimum salary in 3 years is not it's not going to last forever. So at that point, I decided to keep it going for a little bit longer. Lady luck, the Patriots had some problems at tight end. They happened to be 13-0 at the time. And I had worked out with them earlier in the year and had a good workout. So they brought me back in, and I came in on a Wednesday, played 32 snaps on Sunday.
No shit.
Yeah.
Who's the coach at that time?
That was one Bill Belichick.
Who's the quarterback that year?
That was Tom Brady. Yeah.
How was that?
So that was kind of neat, man. That was like starstruck coming in there, dude. That
Well, Tom
team,
wasn't Tom like yet
he
necessarily.
had 3 Super Bowls.
No, I know, but yeah. So that would probably be the equivalent of like going into like a Patrick Mahomes if you're modern day.
Yeah, modern day would be like
Sure.
rolling into the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Rolling into the Chiefs, and they're 13-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're on the road.
Yeah,
It's going.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm about to win me one.
After every game, it was like, "What's it feel like to be 14-0? Oh shit!" And then,
Yeah.
like, another one bites the dust on the radio.
Oh,
and I was like,
my-
dude, every game, I was just like, "Holy shit!"
Dude, I mean, I've heard. So we interviewed Danny Woodhead. Haven't had Logan Mankins on yet. Maybe you could put a good word in. I got his jersey. on the
Sure.
wall. But I hearing about like the Patriot way and all that, and you got to play in the league enough to where you might. Is there a Patriot way you could confirm?
Is there a Patriot way? Yes, especially at that time.
Yeah.
That was like.
Like what's
that was
different?
the
What's the
peak
elevator
of the
pitch in the
Patriot
Patriot way?
I mean, you hear a lot of the catchphrases and stuff like that, but well, I'll sum it up. Let's bring up the Tom Brady example.
Sure.
Okay, so I played on a lot of teams, right?
Yeah.
I ended up playing on 6 teams, right?
Yeah.
And with not shabby quarterbacks, we're talking about, Donovan McNabb, other than Tom Brady, like Donovan McNabb.
Dog.
Yeah.
Prime Donovan McNabb too.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Kurt Warner,
Dog.
pretty good quarterback. So there were some dudes out there that I played with, and I'll tell you, you go into any of these other places and they're protecting the quarterback, and he deserves it, right?
Right.
Quarterback needs to be protected and needs to be kind of revered and respected, right? And so I agree with that. I'm not downplaying this. These are, professional organizations. They're not doing it wrong. This is just the difference is if there's a ball that's thrown at your feet, or you get, your tips of your fingers on it, or like if it's a little off, let's just say, the vernacular in the meeting room is that's your fault.
Right.
That is your fault. You got to have those. And it's like silence. It's
Yeah.
like, yes, sir. Because like, what are you supposed
Were
to
you
say?
gonna say no?
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you, I went into New England, and it's like, Tom throws a throw that's a little off. It's like, Tom, we need a better throw than that. And he goes, yes, sir. It's like,
Whoa.
yeah.
Well,
When
as
that
a
happened, I
guy
was
who
like,
catches the ball, if it touches your hands, you should catch it. That's always been the rule of thumb.
totally.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I'm not going to complain. The quarterback's throwing me the ball. He's throwing me the ball. I'm not mad that they're throwing me the ball. So if you're going to go complain when a quarterback's throwing you the ball, like,
Yeah.
he's not going to throw you the ball anymore.
Thanks, hon.
I love it.
Anyways, continue.
I mean, so, okay. So you're not going to complain. Quarterback's throwing you the ball. That's a good thing, right? And you should catch it, period.
Tom Brady's throwing you the ball.
But
So you caught a pass from Tom Brady?
I did, yes.
What a effing G. That's some gangster shit.
That was, thanks. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers to Tom
There was
Brady.
cheers to Tom Brady.
Yeah. Anyways,
Go.
continue. Patriot
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
So Patriot way, nobody's safe.
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing. Patriot way, nobody's safe. And not only are you not safe, you're going to get called out in stadium seating in front of everybody, up on the big board, So, you know what highlights are? Well, Belichick puts up lowlights. I don't know if you heard this before.
I've heard of lowlights.
Okay, so Belichick is a lowlights guy. So he puts up, you're just hoping. You come in the meeting room and you're just hoping to God that, and you're just like this.
Right. You don't want to be on that film.
You don't want to be on that film in the team meeting room because it means you screwed up.
You screwed up, and like to the outside people who don't know what lowlights are, basically you're in a team meeting. They're putting on the film where somebody messed up hard enough to where the coach is going to expose you and try to probably make it like a we can't have this moment or a teachable moment or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Regardless, you're getting put on blast.
You're getting put on blast. It is a very negative experience.
It's ESPN top. It's ESPN not top 10. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is exactly what it is. All the not top 10 from the day before at Patriots practice. And so he's going to sit there and call you out. And you're on thin ice. And he's going to call anybody out. He doesn't care who you are. He really doesn't.
Yeah.
And so...
Who were some of the big names at that point? Tom.
Tom, Randy Moss.
That's a big one.
Let's see who on defense. Junior Seau.
Yeah.
Richard Seymour.
Was Teddy still there?
Teddy Bruschi.
Yeah. Was Vrabel still there?
Vrabel was there. Yep. Yeah, the team was stacked.
Was Wes still there?
Wes was there. Yes. Wes Welker, dude. He had 11 catches in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
It's my guy. It's my guy. Him and Julian. It's my guys. Anyways, continue.
You love the short slot receivers.
Short slot white boys. Yeah, those are my guys.
Yep. So yeah, dude, that was Patriot way. So going in there and then
leading up to the Super Bowl. Talk to me about that.
Okay. Leading up to the Super Bowl.
You're 16-0.
Right.
Undefeated.
So we finished 16-0, undefeated in the season because back in the day we only played 16 games.
Right.
And we had beat the Giants in New York. And we were losing, I think, by 2 scores in the fourth quarter, something like that. Mm-hmm. And there was like a bomb to Randy for a touchdown, which broke like all of the records, the passing touchdown record, the receiving touchdown record, all the record on the same play. It was like, it was incredible. And then we won. So like, you feel like you're
top of the world,
man. Yeah.
Tom Brady's your quarterback. You're on the Patriots. You're undefeated.
Undefeated. Can't lose. I remember we were down by 2 scores in the fourth. Whatever we were down by, I think it was 2 scores in the fourth.
Think about and
he's walking down the sideline.
Months ago, you were on your couch, and now you're freaking on the Super Bowl caliber.
Ago, I was on my couch,
right?
Yes. Yeah.
God.
And then I'm standing there on the sideline, and Tom Brady's pacing and going, "We don't worry," and he's looking everybody in the eyes and going, "We don't worry. We don't worry. We don't worry. Like we got this." We're not worried.
I feel like I'm there right now.
And then they came out and threw that ball and won the game. Yeah, it was insane. Yeah. So
you lost
playoffs. It's playoffs. Yeah. And that was the first time I had a playoff experience.
Sure.
So playoffs. You think that going from like training camp to preseason to regular season. Well, I'll tell you what, when you're new in the NFL and you go through a preseason, you think you know what the speed is like.
Sure.
And especially if then you like make the team, then it's like, oh yeah, I got this.
Yeah.
Regular season starts and it's a whole step up. I mean, it's a way more intense. Everybody's going faster. Everybody's going harder. It's just like, it's a totally different level of play. And then it just seems like there's another level in the playoffs.
Really?
Just more intensity, greater detail. It's just another step up, right? So I got my first playoff experience. Got to play in the AFC Championship game against the Chargers. We were against the Chargers in the AFC Championship game, running the clock out. So
yeah,
I was in there. So we're running the heck out of the ball, and then we finished that game. 2 months earlier, I was on my couch, like you said,
it's crazy.
Then suddenly, like, we end that game, and I'm going to the Super Bowl with the undefeated Patriots. So it's like,
what's and I know. What's the Patriot? I mean, what's the Super Bowl experience like? I know you got to be part of 2.
Yeah. With the Super Bowl, it's a kind of a long 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's kind of a long 2 weeks.
It's like a college bowl season a little bit.
Yeah, it's that feel for sure. Yeah, college bowl season.
Little dragged out.
Yeah. So it's kind of long. And I think being a part of 2 Super Bowl teams that both lost really tight games, I think that there's the danger of being overconfident in that time. I'm not saying that either of those teams were overconfident.
Right.
I'm just saying I think there's a danger in just the tiniest bit of losing focus. So I think that's the biggest. To me, what I took from that was that's the biggest challenge of Super Bowl week, right? Is staying focused on the actual football.
So many distractions.
Yeah, a lot of distractions. Exactly. Yeah.
It's arguably the biggest sporting event in the world. I mean,
it should be. It's the best game in the world.
Yeah, I would say it's only second place to maybe the Olympics.
Yeah,
maybe
I don't know what
World Cup,
in other countries maybe. Or whatever. Yeah,
World Cup, Olympics, and then Super Bowl. I would personally rather go to Super Bowl than any of those, but
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
America, baby.
Come on now. It's an American podcast. Before you get into the Super Bowls, quick shout out to our friends at Prize Picks. Got to give a quick shout out to Prize Picks. You know, Prize Picks is the most I've had fun winning up to 25 times my money this football season. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this football season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you could turn $10 into $250 with just a few steps. Prize Picks is really simple to play. It's really easy, guys. I can make my picks and submit an entry in less than 60 seconds. This week, got a lot of entries lined up. It's more or less. I've been really big on the more or less touchdown passes. I'm going to do a touchdown by Christian McCaffrey this week. I think he's going to score against the Giants on Thursday Night Football. And then additionally in college football, I'm going to take the more out of Sam Hartman. The Ohio State Notre Dame game is I'm going to take the more on his passing yards. Additionally, I believe that the quarterback for Georgia this week, the running backs for Georgia this week, Kendall Milton, his rushing yards, he's a local guy. I appreciate him. They have a statement game. I'm going to take the more for his rushing yards. I'm going to use that as an entry and make sure to use code BRINGTHEJUICE. That is prizepicks.com/BRINGTHEJUICE for this. Go use prizepicks.com. Anyways, so Spach.
Good job.
Super Bowls. Lost one with the Patriots. We talked about the Patriot way.
Yeah.
How hard is it to lose a Super Bowl?
Ugh. It sucks.
At that point in your life, worst day of your life, you think? Up there? Is it like, look how far we've come, we enjoy it because we were there type thing? Or is it... And I'm sure it hits...
got nothing left but that at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But the down is pretty significant.
Well, I can imagine a guy like Randy Moss who had a decorative Hall of Fame,
right,
potentially best of all time career, and he went to New England to like win a ring,
right?
That I'm sure that hurts him a different kind of way almost.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But for you, what was your like? Was you just like, damn, I wish you won that game? Obviously.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was an abrupt. It was like driving 100 miles an hour and then suddenly hit a wall. You know.
Really. Locker room after. What's the locker room after like? Dead
silence. Yeah, dead silence.
A lot of hugs, I'm sure. Yeah.
A lot of. And that was one of the few times that I've seen Bill with not much to say, because he's there's different types of coaches, you know.
Sure.
Like Andy Reid's man of few words, or at least he was when I was coached by him, you know, back in 2005 and 6. His team meetings were 2 sentences, right? And then you're gone. Yeah. Bill Belichick's meetings are forever, and you're just kind of hoping that he doesn't call on you or something like that, you know. But yeah, after Super Bowl loss, it was just, couple of things and that's it. Cause I mean, it's hard. You've all put so much effort into that and so much expectation into that it's just, I think it's hard to know what to say at that point. And there's really not much to be said.
No,
it's more of like,
you're all men.
Yeah. It's kind of, you're kind of on your own at that point a little bit.
I mean, I've lost a championship and it sucks. Yeah. It sucks. And I feel like, there's nothing to say because you clearly are a dedicated, mature enough, professional group, whatever. I mean, if you're in U10 soccer and you lose a championship,
hurts.
It hurts. Yeah. And even if you're a coach, it's like, you know what, guys, they were the better team today. Tough one. Blah blah blah. There's any ways you could spin it, but at the end of the day, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna be quiet. You're gonna deal with your emotions a little bit. Let it settle in. It sucks. It's just that's the biggest stage possible, and you were on the Patriots, which were on an undefeated year. You were on a heater.
Yeah,
you're on a heater.
18-0 at that point. Yeah,
a heater.
Yeah, hadn't lost a game. So yeah, we went from. I mean, one play took us from almost undisputably the best team of all time.
It's at that point you can't. You're number one. No one's ever done it.
It's really it'd be hard to argue that we were the best team of all time. If
you go undefeated, win the Super Bowl, it's done deal.
Yeah. So that was hard. It was even harder the night before to be told I wasn't going to play in the game.
How'd that go?
Yeah.
You were expecting to be active and you weren't.
I was hoping to be active. So it's 2 weeks, right, between the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl.
Right.
So in somewhere in that 2 weeks during practice, I jumped up for a ball and landed awkwardly on one leg, and my knee hyperextended.
Okay.
So after my knee hyperextension, I went and I got the MRI, and they gave me the clear. I think the MCL sprain or something like that, right? And so I was like, what braces do I have to wear, in order to get back on the field? Yeah. So it just let me get on the field. We have the Super Bowl coming up. So I was a little banged up there, and Kyle Brady and Ben Watson were the 1 and 2 at the time at tight end. And when I came in, they were both banged up. That was why I played so much, right away.
Sure.
They were healthy for the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And Bill decided to only dress 2 tight ends. So,
wow.
So night before the game, normally, so it's similar to college experience, basically the same.
Yeah.
You eat, and then you have team meeting. They go over
positions,
openers. Yeah, they go over openers, whatever. And then they have a quick team meeting, talk about what's going on. So nothing changed for the Super Bowl. You do your process, right? And then we're all walking out, and Bill's by the door where you're walking out. And there's 53 on the roster, right?
Of course.
53. I don't know how they do it, 54 with the third quarterback or whatever. I don't know how they do it now. But there's 53 on the roster, and they only dress 45, right?
Yeah.
With like an extra quarterback, whatever. So 8 dudes don't dress.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going out, and I see him grabbing guys, pulling them aside, and I'm like, oh shit. So, and you're just walking, you're like, don't look at me, don't talk to me, don't look at me. And he goes, Steven. I was like, no. Yeah. And he's like, you're gonna be inactive tomorrow. Sorry. I was just like,
for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I was like, I appreciate you telling me, the night before. Cause like to wake up in the morning and find that out,
and be ready. Suit up. Hey,
right, no,
it's okay, buddy.
It would have been harder to find out at 1:00 on Super Bowl Sunday, but yeah. So I went and had some beers.
What about so jumping ahead? You have you're now on the Cardinals. Let's just get to there.
Right. Okay.
You get on the Cardinals. You got your role. Talk about your role and then leading into Super Bowl and that experience. I also know there was an ACL in there.
Yeah. So the next year, a little more of the Patriot way. I was on and off the team a little bit at the beginning of the year. Ended up making the team. Well, ended up getting cut, being brought back, then getting cut 2 weeks later. Paranoid of making a mistake at that point. And that's one thing about the Patriot way. I heard that Bill kind of, I guess, cooled off a little bit after that season is what I heard. But that was the year that Tom got hurt in the Chiefs game in the first game of the season. And Matt Castle was the quarterback that year. So sometimes in that environment, it was so intense that some guys would be too paranoid and they'd actually start making mistakes, right? And so I kind of got to that point a little bit, made a couple mistakes, I was out. So I was on the street for about a month. It was almost a relief, I'll tell you that. It was almost a relief to get back out where I could kind of regroup. I had a workout with the Cardinals. They were doing well. And they ended up bringing me in, and I was playing my best football because I had just come from that Patriot landscape. And I came into a place where it was very similar opportunity. It was just earlier in the year where tight ends were banged up. And I was able to come in, and within a couple weeks, I was in the starting spot. I was starting games in, within a couple of games, I had kind of jumped into that starting role. So I was playing my best football. That was probably the peak of my football career. We ended up making the playoffs. And it was the first time the Cardinals had, I ended up being part of the first Cardinals playoff win since like 1983 or something like that.
Big deal for the city.
So there was a big deal for the city. It was a big deal for the team. I ended up catching the ball that kind of got the first down. We kneeled it after that catch. So that was probably the biggest catch of my NFL career. Yeah. Borderline with the Fresno State catch, but yeah,
we'll get into
like
that
right there. Yeah. But no, so that was probably the peak of my NFL career for sure. We went to Carolina the next week. We were supposed to lose Carolina. They had been 12-4. They had a bye. We were kicking their ass, and we were running out the clock at the end of the game. And I was engaged in a block, and I got hit in the
end of the game.
Yeah, there was like 3 minutes left. We were running the clock out. But we were up by 3 or 4 scores, and somebody ran by. It was totally incidental, as it always is, and blew ACL, MCL, meniscus, and so yeah, I was right there. And then we won the next game, of course, and go to the Super Bowl. So I had to sit on the sideline for another Super Bowl 2 in a row. Yeah.
2 in a row.
2 in a row, yeah. Yeah.
There's worse things to do in life than sit on 2 Super Bowl sidelines.
True. Yeah. No, I'm blessed. Totally blessed. That's not where I'm coming from. Yeah. No, I was totally blessed. Just being able to play in the NFL, dude, was just, a dream come true. No matter if it was stressful at times or ups and downs, injuries, the pain, whatever. Yeah. You do it all again.
Was there a day when you said like, all right, it's time to move on? Did you have like a day?
Yeah, it was a little while after I stopped getting calls. Yeah.
Well, everyone has a threshold because you're out for a little bit, you're still working out. And I've talked to enough guys, I'll bring the juice now to where it's like football's it's a children's game, if you will, but at the same time, NFL is a huge, one of the biggest businesses in the world probably, to where, so much money's involved, but also so much time and dedication is involved. And there's this threshold of like, okay, I know what I could be. I know what I has been in the last few weeks, months, years, whatever it might be. And it's a very hard decision to say like, hey, I gotta go on to something else. Not because, and it's not a game you're giving up. Like, it's a job you don't have at that point almost, to where, but at the same time, it's a game you've played since, I don't know what year you started playing football, but at the same time,
10 years old.
That's what I'm saying. Like you play it for so long, you get to this level. And for me, it's literally the reason I started to bring the juice, because you're so used to your goal in life is just be better at football.
Right.
learn the plays better, lift better, outwork your competition, do these drills better, do this, that, and the other, get leverage, catch the ball, do extra work after practice, meet with your quarterback, get on the same page, blah, 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 blah. It's this game of business, politics, athleticism, mental toughness, all this crap, to where one day it's going to get cut off cold turkey, and all of a sudden you don't have to set an alarm for a team meeting at 6 a.m. and rehab, and you don't have to worry about eating great the night before because you have 15 gaster ladders in a 3-hour practice and all this bull crap. Like, I mean, you could just wake up and eat whatever the hell you want and chill, and go back to bed and chill and blah, 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 blah. And like, it's hard because you have this huge passion and this want to be successful, this elite mindset to be the best version of yourself you could possibly be in your craft at that point, which is football. And for me, it's like, how do you take that and translate it to whatever the hell you're going to do next?
Anything else?
Because it's so hard. And there's so many people that can't do it. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. Like, I have buddies who couldn't figure it out for 4 years. And now they're starting to like kind of come around, and I'm seeing their attributes of them being such good football players come into play, which is fine. But I guess what I should say is, was there a day that you knew it was over, and at what point did you say, hey, I'm hungry to be great at the next thing?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question, and it's a great topic.
Thank you.
No, that was awesome.
Professional.
That was amazing. I'm fired up right now. Honestly,
fire me up, Spach. Let's go. What do you got?
No, the transition is hard.
It's hard.
The transition is hard, and it doesn't matter if you're coming out of college or if you're coming out of the pros.
Dude, if you're coming out of high school, it's hard.
It's hard coming out of high school. Yeah. I got buddies that it took them years to get over.
Yeah.
You know, the feeling in the spring, and then the feeling in training camp time.
Something's missing.
Something's
missing,
and you're suddenly just agitated.
And it's on TV.
Right.
And the Friday, you're driving on the freeway on a Friday, and there's lights all over the place on the 41 and the 160. I get it.
Yeah. And it's like you're with whoever it is, girlfriend, wife, whatever, and you're like, I would have to back off and be like, oh, it's springtime. Like, that's why I'm agitated right now. Yeah. So
testosterone's up a little bit.
The transition is real. I mean, you've become accustomed to very, very, very intense, competition and intense, like you said, all the things you said, under the microscope. You have a very streamlined focus on improving at one thing.
Yeah.
And it's very much like an addiction, right?
Yeah.
It can be very addictive. And I think that's the way, obviously you're not dealing with life and death in the same way, but like that's the way it's similar to like military, other than life and death side, obviously. That's a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's probably the closest thing you get to the military.
It is probably
arguably
right up there. Yeah.
Arguably.
Yep.
Yeah.
Coming out, and a lot of people struggle with it, like you said. Was there a period where, was there like a day that I knew that? No, I'd say it was more like a period of time.
Sure.
Right. Where it kind of slowly, kind of settled in, and other than a few sparks, it was probably about 6 or 7 months of a period of time. But everybody's different, dude. Some people it takes longer, and some people no. I mean, I would see guys during that time. You see guys that say, "Oh, I'm hanging it up. Like, I'm retiring. I'm done." And I'm like, how can you do that? Like, you can still get calls.
Yeah.
Like, you still have a chance to keep playing.
Very much.
But I respect it at the same time. If you know, I guess. But yeah, I wanted to keep playing as long as I could,
Sure.
And so I think that it did, because by the end of my career, like that 9 days that I was with the Jags, like I wasn't I wasn't the same player that I was, previously before that. So there was other priorities that were coming out. I had a family at that time, and had some other family issues and stuff. So there was other priorities that were important,
right.
That were taking my attention. So Yeah.
Yeah, but the mental, I mean, I'm saying like from the mental side, like it's hard. And I got to say, you know, me personally, like I knew you could ask anybody who was part of my senior class, like I had a plan where I was going to go try to go to be an Olympic bobsledder when I was done playing football. So key word of that sentence, done playing football. So I knew my last game, my senior year, was the last time I strap it up. And I think I had a little bit of, I don't know if closure is the right word or what it is. I saw ends meet, if you will, where I was like, you know, you have this senior football season. You kind of have this idea of what might happen once you're done athletically. But I knew football, and everyone tells you, especially when you're in college, when you're in a fall camp, people come and speak to you and they say, hey, football doesn't last forever. What do you want to do next? Make sure you got a plan. Because everyone, you know, there's guys who used to say, like, what are you majoring in? And they're just like, the league. The league. Like, I'm going to go play in the NFL, make enough money, and I don't got to work any day of my life. And that's the reality of things. Like, that's just not true. I don't care how, I don't even play 10 years in the league. Like, shit's expensive in the world right now. You need to figure something out, man.
It never ends.
Unless you're maybe Patrick Mahomes type vibes.
There's only a few guys.
It's a situation where I was content knowing my last football game was the last time I'm going to have to train to be a great football player that could be the best of his abilities, essentially. And I got buddies who, you know, guys who are like, they were pretty good in college and they do pro day knowing they don't have a good shot. Hey, I'm going to train for pro day. If I don't get picked up after 2 weeks, it was a good run. Football was a great thing in my life. I made some awesome friends, connections, closure, all this, right? But I also got guys who it's like, they've been done playing football for 3 years. They're still training as if they're playing tomorrow. And it's like, they don't know how to let it go.
Yep.
It's a hard thing to let go, man, because there is no church league tackle football. There isn't that exact apples to apples tier. And like, again, I never played a day in the NFL, but I'll just say just enough in college. And we haven't even talked about Fresno State today, but when, you know, now Valley Children's Stadium would get popping, you go play in a rowdy game in that stadium, that adrenaline rush, that momentum of just like, holy shit, the boys are bopping, we're rolling right now. It's hard to mimic that type of energy in the belly of your soul.
It's close to impossible to mimic.
I don't know what you could do.
Yeah, I don't know.
I really don't.
There's not much else. Yeah.
And you've played in Super Bowls and stuff. I've played college football, and I'm just like, we had a game where Fresno State played Boise State. Boise was at home. We beat the crap out of them. We lost the championship the next week at Boise.
Awesome. I'm jealous, but
it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But I will say this, like, being at home, beating the crap out of Boise, it was like a 3:00 kickoff to where we got done with it was still light outside. We got to party that night, beat the shit out of them. I mean, that place was going crazy. That's something like you don't forget.
Oh, you were at home though. Here
we were in Fresno.
Yeah, okay.
And Boise came in.
Home. Yeah, gotcha.
No, we did that too. Yeah. But like,
nice. I never beat Boise.
It is, so but I'm saying it's crazy to like. There's certain aspects of football that you just. I mean, we played Bama. You go out and play Bama. You go out and play number 3 ranked Washington, where they break the decibel meter and shit like that. Like, there's certain moments that you're a part of that you just can't mimic, and I think it's hard for guys to transition. And like, so you finish up, you realize you have your period of time where you say, hey, it's time to go on to the next thing. Right. Where was your head at of like what I want to do next?
Yeah. And I think I like what you said earlier. You tried to say that there was the key to the sentence was when you were done with football, but I heard something else. You said I had a plan. Yeah. And I think when people get caught, they don't have any plan. They don't have a plan for that next step. And so for me, when I first made the team with the Philadelphia Eagles, I was making more money than I didn't even think of that part of it.
Bigger than a scholarship check.
Yeah. A little bigger than a scholarship check. It's only about a fourth of what the rookies are making now, but which is, hey, God bless them. Yeah. They deserve it. I deserved it too, but they deserve it.
Inflation.
Yeah, whatever. But I mean, I hadn't even really thought about that part. All I had thought about was putting my blinders on and making the team, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't have, the bigger part of it is I didn't really have any financial guidance or financial education. So when I got there, I had no plan, right? To your point earlier, there was no financial plan that I had in place, and that did not sit well with me. I'd always been everything that I had done to that point. It had been
calculated.
It had been calculated, or I had assistants calculating it. Right, there was a direction, right, and it was very simple. It was like, you need to do this to get better at doing.
Yes.
You need to do X to get better.
X
at
plus
doing
Y equals Z.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And so that did not sit well with me at all. So I took it upon myself to get financially educated.
Yeah.
And that was through whatever sources I had at the time, which was, the NFL was starting with their financial education programs. And so that was good. I kind of came in at the right time. That was just getting going. So that was helpful. I took advantage of those. I got myself, a financial advisor. And so I just went out and learned everything that I could.
Yeah. This is on your own.
This was on my own. Yes.
Yeah.
And so the more that I got into it, the more that I learned about it, the more interesting I found it, and the more inspired I was by that. And so by the time I got back into the league, and then it was kind of, nearing, I was 7-8 years, and I knew that there was an end coming, right? That was something that I always went back to, that time in my life where I was there without the education and not knowing what I didn't know. And I kind of decided that I wanted to be, somebody where that people could go to, whether they were not just for athletes, but whether that was anybody who was in a similar situation to what I went through, and be able to be there for them. So I decided to get into, financial management and financial services at that point. So I kind of jumped on the next thing. And I think that's exactly what you're saying, is like, it never ends. Like it can't end.
No.
You can't say, you've got to love what you went through, right? And then appreciate it and move to your next path and have some type of plan and go out and try and execute it, or else you get caught in that that middle ground, that
dead area.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Before we continue, a quick word from our friends at FFB Bank. You remember Fresno First Bank. They renamed their brand to FFB Bank, the premier bank of the Valley. They're not just the premier bank of the Valley. They're now national. The same way Bring the Juice has gone from Valley Central to national, FFB Bank has done the same. They're great for both personal and business banking. Go in there. They give you a sound business approach. They treat you like a good person. They take care of your banking needs, whether it's personal, business, for your kid, for your grandma, for your uncle, for your dog. Go to FFB Bank. They'll talk about Bring the Juice. They'll talk about the dogs, talk about everything in between. But more than anything, they'll take care of you and take care of your banking needs. FFB Bank. Check out these cups they gave us. God, those are good looking cups. Great looking cups. Shout out to FFB Bank.
They do stuff for your dog?
I don't know. But I will say, Spach, like, I like what you said about, I think there's a spectrum, and it's hard because I got boys in all different sides of life right now that are doing different things. And I'm 26, to where that's where you do have boys in other different types of life, where I got buddies in the league still. I got buddies that are running for government official offices, slinging real estate. I'm farming onions, guys married, guys with girlfriends, guys with hoochies, guys with who knows what, right? And guys who I don't know. And I'm just like, it doesn't matter, because you went through those memories together of football. And I think, at one point I wanted to constantly surround myself with people that are chasing greatness like me, which I still do. But I've now hit a sense of like, okay, you know what? You're doing something good. It's time to look behind your shoulder a little bit and see who's up to come, because there's things that I've learned in my few years outside of college sports where I've had to mature. And yeah, you're a grown man playing college sports because you're 18 years old. Guess what? You got a full-time occupation. The NCAA is a big business. In Fresno State, I don't care if you go to Appalachian State. I don't care if you go to wherever the hell. Right. If you're not an asset to that company, when I say company, that team, they're going to find a way to get rid of you or replace you with something better. Why do you think they recruit every year the highest person possible? It's not so that they can be your friend. It's so they can take your spot. And like you said, as being a walk-on, there's certain tiers to that where, maybe we weren't 3-star, 4-star, 5-star recruits, but somebody else was something of stature. Mm-hmm. Well, they must be better than you. And it's fine. It's constant adversity that strikes and you overcome. And there's certain things. And I mean, Spach, you're a living example to it. An example to any young kid or parent playing football. Look at Stephen Spach's story. Cheers to you. But I'm saying, after football now, you talk about, your passion of what you currently are. You're in the finance game a little bit. Not a little bit. You're in the finance game. How do you think from your last game of playing football and that journey has led you to the point you're at now? And feel free to discuss of where you're at kind of now. Yeah. As much as you like.
Yeah. So coming out, there's still... Like I said, there's that period, right? When you're done with the game, and there's still so much. It's such a unfamiliar territory, right? That there's still an element of like where you're finding yourself. Even if you know what you want to do, you're still finding out what that's like. Because when you're playing football at high level, whether it's college, professional, whatever, especially professional, you feel like you can do anything else. You look at other people who are in their career and you're like, well, I could do that. And then you look at other people that are in a different career and you're like, well, I can do that.
Right.
And you think you can do anything.
As you should.
Because, sure. And you try things that, like, I mean, you do little of whatever, whether it's, I don't know, jujitsu or another sport or something like that, or golf. Whatever. Golf. Well, golf's a little humbling. Golf's a little different for me. Maybe it's easier terrible. For you. But no, golf is a good example of what I'm about to say. But you try a lot of things and you're really good at them.
Sure.
Or you can get good at them fast, yes. Right? Because you're in that mode and you're a high level athlete.
Yeah. I'm fast. I'm strong. I should start wrestling.
Yeah. You can watch. Yeah. Oh, I can be a UFC fighter. Well, not everybody could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And golf is a good example, because that's a very specific thing that only very few people are elite at.
Well, you're an athlete and you think all you gotta do is sit there and hit a ball. It shouldn't be no problem, right?
You think that. Yeah.
You think that. Then you start golfing and you realize you suck.
Right. So the real world is kind of like that in a lot of ways. Like, you haven't been trained, or unless you have, if you have a background doing something, or whatever,
some things are natural.
Some guys, but the vast majority of people who suddenly their career ends and they're in their 20s, right?
Yeah.
It's like most people don't have an upbringing, and so you're finding your identity there. And it takes some time. And if you've been playing football until you're 30 years old, then you're probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years behind a lot of people that are the same age as you that are in the career that you're going.
They finish in Sigma Chi and now they've been working the last 8 years. And you just finished with the, fucking Jaguars, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I got to figure this out a little bit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yes. And so you may have some advantages that come with, there's if I was you, then I would this and that and the other. You hear that a lot when you're coming out of the NFL, even if you're a rookie at what you're doing. But you're a rookie at what you're doing.
Right.
And so you have to put your time in and take the same. And if you don't take the same or similar mindset towards the way you were when you were just starting out, then it can be really challenging. Because it's hard to get by, man.
No, I think what you said though is very accurate about so using that same mindset. It's one of those things. That's why I said it's kind of like a slippery slope here. If you it's a fork in the road. You're either going to go left or right, and I don't know which one's which. But whether you know it or not, if you got through a certain level of athletics, and I say this, if you have a when I meet somebody and they say they played Division I, okay?
Yeah.
your wife was an equestrian, right? Mm-hmm. She's great. But what I'm saying is, you understand a sense, like, I know, like, there's a sense of accountability of, like, I know you struggled going to workouts, practice, meetings, challenging yourself and competing at a high level.
Division I
blah, blah, blah.
athletics.
You're a Division I athlete. So if I meet
carries
someone,
a level of respect.
If I meet someone in an airport and I'm just judging them by their appearance and they go, yeah, you know,
You judge people just by their appearance, dude? Dang.
it's
You
natural. Human
shallow,
nature.
bro.
Human
Dang,
nature.
dude.
Human
Look
nature.
how
I'm
shallow
first to
this
admit
guy.
it. First to admit it. I judge someone by their shoes, man. I just someone by how white their teeth are, man. Like I'm sorry, like whether you like it or not, it's part of the game. You make these assumptions. Now I backtrack right away and say, don't judge a book by its cover. But natural assumptions when someone walks in, if they smell a little weird, I'm kind of like,
It's probably has some
what's
hygiene,
wrong with this
bro.
guy? What's wrong with this guy? But what I'm getting at is,
When you find out they're a Division I athlete,
and this is a podcast where there's a Division I athlete, another Division I athlete having to play for this Division I program. It's like I automatically have a little bit of respect for you, no matter how big of a piece of crap you might be, because you found a way to get through that. And I know, and you know, you can't just bullshit your way completely through that. You might be able to cut some corners. Right. You might not make the bus, and you might not do this, that, the other. But if you played 4 years of college football, guess what? You went through 4 fall camps.
right?
You went through some wins, probably, because nobody goes 0-40.
Right.
And you went through some losses. So where there's all this crap going on, to the point where I understand you've overcome adversity and you've lost to it and you've beat it. So your mind is built some type of way, whether you know it or not.
Right.
Now, taking that and saying, hey, that was great. That was a great period of my life. I'm now going to do this, that, and the other. It's very freaking hard. It's almost impossible. Now, if you could do it fast, more power to you, because guess what? You're 23 years old, 24 years old, 25 years old, and you're hungry with all this, like, hey, I put all this mind into learning so-and-so's offense and scouting against, you know, Boise or San Diego State or whoever the hell it is that week, to I don't have to physically hit somebody, get hit, cut back and forth and ruin my legs, put too much weight on my back. Like, I don't have to do all these things. They sound like a burden. I miss them every day. But I'm saying I have to mentally outwork my competition. And I'm not saying my competition is necessarily, you know, a Sigma Chi frat guy. I'm not trying to degrade them at all, because they're smart and they're great. But you're wired a certain type of way of, you know, you're a triggered dog almost of see the target, attack the target, go, win, find a way, get after it, go. Whatever their competitive advantage is, how am I going to squish that and make it to where I now have the competitive advantage? And I think that inner dog deep in your soul, make a clip out of this, somebody, that inner dog deep in your soul, it starts coming out. And I'm saying, like, it's crazy because you look at athletes, former athletes that now own businesses or are higher up in companies. I don't know about you. I'm not a company owner yet, but my family farms, and I would love to hire former athletes as assets because of a lot of things. They know what it's like to be a part of a team and help that team win. They know what it's like to be accountable and have to be somewhere every day on time, prepared, and do their job. And it's 2023 where people aren't on top of their shit, and it's hard to find good people in your corner. And just like a good team, you want good people around you.
Right. Yeah, I work
hard.
Yeah, it is
hard.
I work with a lot of business owners, and the recurring theme that I hear, it is hard to find good help. It's hard to find people that want to work. And I mean, it might sound like an old man or something, but these days, young folks, if you got, what he say? Got that dog.
Got that dog in
that
you.
dog.
Yeah.
If you want to work and you're down to work, you have a huge advantage.
Absolutely.
Over 90, at least percent.
90%.
Of people out there, because there's not a lot of inner motivation out there that I see from young people, which I don't know. It is what it is.
Well, I'll stop you there. But Fresno State players, guys who I played with, and I think any current player on the roster, Fresno State, we're small size of Texas in the middle of California, to where if you are a Fresno State player currently, they've had success the last few years enough to where if you say, hey, you go to a business, Spach, you're a businessman. If a Fresno State player comes in there, maybe he's got a degree in finger painting, but he tucks his shirt in,
Right.
comes in there serious with maybe he has a folder of what he's done. Maybe he just says, you know what, sir, I've never had a job in my life. I just played football. And he shakes your hand with a decently firm grip and says, listen, I don't know much about this industry. I'm very interested in it. I want to do what I can to be an asset to help your team win. You're hiring him.
That's somebody you want to give an opportunity
You want
to.
winners on your team.
Yep.
And you're hiring him.
You want get it done on your team. That's what you want.
And I think as much as degrees matter and as much as experience matters, people are who you hire.
Yeah.
And if I'm a company owner or if I'm a man trying to win, I need assets on my team, not liabilities.
100%.
Fucking fire me up. God damn it, Spach.
Go get these D1 athletes out there in the workforce, baby. We're gonna take over.
Spach, my last question. I already know the answer to it. I just got to ask it because every Fresno State fan's asking, what's the most hype play ever in your career?
Oh, man. Yep. Senior year, bro.
Go ahead. Rip it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Senior year. We got to play Virginia. We had the opportunity to choose to either play again in the Silicon Valley Classic for the umpteenth year in a row.
Yeah.
And play I don't know who. Or to go to MPC Computers Bowl and play Virginia. And so we decided that we wanted to play Virginia. I remember voting on it as a team.
You guys have to vote. Wow.
Vote on it as a team. Who did we want to play and where did we want to go?
Who was the other team?
I don't want to
No, it's okay.
crap on anybody or something. I can't remember. I think it was, I don't know, it was some.
It doesn't matter. So you go to Virginia.
It wasn't an ACC team.
Sure.
I'll tell you that much.
So you're playing Virginia.
Yeah, we're playing the number one defense in the ACC.
Oh,
and
good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And man, the vernacular was, 2 yards is a win on a run play. And we were all like, no, 2 yards not a win on a run play.
Yeah.
So we ran for 250 yards on them, I think.
Humble brag.
Yeah. No, we pushed it to overtime. I think we were down 21-7. And we came back, pushed it overtime, and we drew up a version of a play that we
drew it up on the sideline?
Drew it up on the sideline because we were running the ball up their gut, and we drew a play up that we had never run. And
you never practiced it once.
Coach was like, Spach, you got the beeline? I'd never run a beeline in my life. And I was like, yep, I got it. And we came out, I think it was... all right, it'll come back to me in a second. But anyways, we faked the run. They bid on it, and I got to catch the touchdown to end the game, and it
was awesome.
Got charged by the whole team. It was pretty cool. Yeah,
wow,
pretty neat moment. Dude. Yeah, they said it was a touchdown anyway, but yeah.
Did you get in? According to the record books.
According to the record books, right. But we're lucky we didn't have any.
When you went down, where you're like, oh, shit.
When I was getting turned around, I fell over the guy, right?
Yeah.
And I knew it was close. And you know how it is. You fake till you make it right there, right? I threw the arms up good, and I looked at the ref, and he was like, Yep.
Like, looks good to me. Looks good to me.
Yeah, the team charged it. Yeah, it's pretty badass.
There you have it.
It was a way to go out.
Stephen Spach, everybody. Spach, before I close up, anything you want to say to Bring Juice Nation? A lot going on today.
No, man. Just always bring the juice.
Yeah,
dude.
always
bring the juice.
Anything it is.
Always bring the juice.
Always bring the juice.
Can I say my...
Oh, yes. Do you want me to say it?
Go for it.
Okay, hang on. Let me say it.
As fast as you can. Let's see how fast you can say it. Hey, Sherry, this is for you. Shout out.
Hang on. This previous discussion was intended for general information purposes only. No portion of this discussion serves as a receipt of or as a substitute for personalized investment advice from Pinion Wealth. If you would like to learn more and to view our disclosure, please visit pinionwealth.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyways, fire me up. Get your piss hot. Stephen Spach, everybody. Go Dogs. Can't appreciate you enough. Unsubscribe, resubscribe, buy our merch. Get after it. We got a college game day coming up soon. Ooh, gonna be electric. Free beer, more juice, extra juice, spicy juice, all the juice. Bring the juice. Fire me up. Get your piss hot. We'll see you next week.